There we go. All right. Well, we're live. Well,
What's up, guys? Long time no see, at
I
least
know.
for me, at least.
I know. We didn't take a week off for Memorial Day. Everybody's busy doing their thing with their family, and last week, because last week you joined through your phone,
Yeah,
right?
last
You
week I
came back.
joined when I was on the way home from hospice, so it was kind of
That's
spot.
right. And at this time, I'll tell you to keep muting 'cause the semi truck just kept driving by.
Don't they know I have like important calls to be on?
I have things to do. I can't be bothered by by your loud truck.
Oh well, how was your weekend?
It was good. Friday night, some friends and I from work all went out to the baseball game and got poured on. In for like an hour, we had a rain delay, and then half of them all left because can't Wichita is doing a River Fest like festival thing. It's like a 2 week thing, and there was a concert or a guy performing they've heard before and they like, so they all dipped and went to that. And I was like, I'm not paying $15 to go see a guy I've never seen before and somebody I'm not super interested in, and didn't really do. I didn't do anything Saturday, Sunday. So I thought it was the forecast show was supposed to rain, storm all week, so I didn't have any plans. And then it kind of didn't. So I just went and kind of did errands and stuff, and then it never really ended up raining. So I was like, well, it was kind of a waste of the weekend. I was like, at
Yeah,
least I made jerky, so I was like, that's a win.
being a weatherman must be like the easiest job. It's like the only job you get paid to be wrong 50% of the time, if not more.
That's like the funny thing. So once I started my current role, they're like, "Yeah, you're about to learn a lot about the weather." And I was like, "How does weather affect rail?" And they're like, "Oh, you're about to find out." So it's like I just like looking at forecasts, and especially like now that coming into hurricane season, like it really starts to it makes me happy I don't have a boat in the ocean. And it's like,
I don't think
one less thing to worry about.
I don't think we're gonna have a bad hurricane season. I was watching another YouTube channel that
Mm,
talks about weather in depth. And he says we're going into like an El Nino phase, and
yeah,
typically during El Ninos, we don't have like super bad hurricanes, but it can affect like tornadoes and thunderstorms and stuff like that a little bit more severely.
yeah. I know I was reading about that. It was saying that, like it can affect like your hot and cold too. So it can be usually it's like a higher drought season when we go into an El Nino. But I
Yeah,
know it says it's like 12 to 15 hurricanes or something, I think is what they were projecting. But I think they over projected this year too. So they were wrong on the last season. So hopefully they're wrong again. Save everybody some hassle. But
I had Nate come down for the weekend because his future wife had her bachelorette party.
mhm.
So Elizabeth was gone, so Nate came down and we did beer can chicken one night on the smoker,
Ooh.
and that was good. But the next day I got some ribs. And I did so it was my first time smoking ribs. So I was just like looking online, like what's the best like simple rib recipe you could use, and not screw them up. So I did like the 3-2-1 method. So you do
Mhm.
like 3 hours uncovered, 2 hours wrapped, and then 1 hour you unwrap them and you start basting them with your sauce. And
Yeah.
I ended up doing them covered a little bit longer than 2 hours. It's closer to 3 hours. And I'm glad I did because like you could basically take the bone, twist it, and just like pull it out. It was just like falling off the bone. It was pretty good.
That is good. I would say my dad would make ribs when we first got our smoker, and I wasn't a huge rib fan, but after he started cooking them, I was like, all right, I really like. I'm like, I like when they're home. I don't really love going out and getting ribs, but I was like, home cooked ribs are solid.
Made my own like homemade sauce, like to mop on it and everything, and like it was pretty good. We both had a rack of ribs, and I think we killed both racks in like
Dang.
10 minutes, if not less.
Jeez, I mean, they look good from the pictures you sent. I from fishing all day and dicking around. It's bigger, real big appetite.
So like they got a new app for my grill. So I have like a Pit Boss,
Mhm.
and they updated their app or got a new app. So I was able to control the temperature of my grill all the way in hospice, which is like an hour away. So I was able to like watch so they have a chart and you can watch the temperature and like how stable it is and change the temperature. I'm like, this is legit. I can basically cook from anywhere now.
That's cool. I know like Camp Chefs, what my dad has, they just started doing that on some of the newer models where it has the Wi-Fi built in. And I know you can buy like Meat Eater sells a thermometer that it has Bluetooth on it. You can just stick it in the meat and then connect it to your phone. And it looks really cool. And I was thinking about buying for my dad. It's like $100, $200. I guess it's an expensive thermometer. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, it's the amount of cooking they do on it. It's like, yeah, it'd probably be worth it. But I was like, man, it's just an expensive buy, but you're probably gonna have it forever. So it'll
Yeah,
probably be worth it.
mine came with two of the like thermal meat probes that just plug into the grill. And I can see the
Yeah,
temperature that way. But I don't think I'd ever buy a grill that doesn't have like some of these features again. It's like
man.
too nice.
I feel like it's going to be hard now. I feel like as the years go on, it just gets more and more technical and more dummy proof. That it's like it's going to be hard to buy something that doesn't have all this features. I mean, there's eventually going to get real cheap to add in, to where it's like, why not?
Like I was slumming on these cheap old propane and charcoal grills. I'm fancy now. I got Pinky Up pellet grill now.
I would say I do love a charcoal grill though. They would just cooking burgers on a charcoal grill, nothing beats it. Like I'm not a huge do them on the stove or in a pan. I'm like they taste weird to me because it's just all the fat stays there, so I don't care for them. But like charcoal grill, I don't think I'll ever not have a charcoal grill, but I also never not have a smoker once I get a house.
Yeah, I want a flat top. So like I want like a skillet top.
Yeah,
I can do like smash burgers and like I don't know, and anything like
and
yeah,
all the things. I mean, there's so many TikTok videos I see that's just like really cool recipes on them. I'm like, I just need a house now, just so I can have I don't need to furnish the house. Screw that. Just give me my mattress and my bed frame, my couch and the TV, and then I'll just spend all my money on outdoor equipment, on
like
grills.
my inside might look like crap, but man, I'm eating well.
So you'll have a good time if we're outside. Just like I'll have a couple picnic chairs and stuff. You can sit around. You can bring your own chair if you want, but don't expect to sit inside for too long because there ain't gonna be much in there.
Like so, Saturday night, no, Friday night. Yeah, Friday night's when we did the chicken. So we were still fishing while I was cooking the chickens and stuff. Which that was my first time doing beer can chickens on there, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, my parents have done it before, and it seems to always be kind of messy trying to. At least when they've done it, it's a real kind of pain to get the beer can and everything in, and then they always somehow make it messy when they take it all out. It seems like more of a hassle for them when they do it than it's really worth.
We way overcooked, so we both got like a chicken for ourselves, and we only ended up eating like one chicken. So I got a lot of leftovers, which is nice.
I mean, it's a lot of meat. It's like you see a chicken, it's like, oh, I probably eat that, and you start getting into it. It's like this is a lot. This is a lot more than I thought.
Well, I went to Sam's, and like Sam's had like those bundle bags, so like 2 chickens for like $15, and you can't buy them individually. So I'm like, I'm cooking 2 now.
I was cook both. We're at it. Why just cook one?
It's better than like buying the pre-made like rotisserie chickens. At least I think so, because I have like some like bourbon infused like wood pellets. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice the amount of like options you have for pellets and just everything you can do with them, and especially you living around the water. It's easy. You can kind of just set it and forget about it for 4 or 5 hours and just go fish or do other stuff.
We ended up doing the chickens 2 hours at 400 degrees, and then I did the ribs 7 hours at 225. So.
Now, I've always seen like those rib racks you can buy for smokers where you can put like 6 racks of ribs in, or it's like 6 half racks or something like that. I'm curious if putting them on a rack like that changes anything, makes them better or not.
I don't know. I'm able to fit probably like 5 racks of ribs on my grill. At least I think I could if I laid them like front to back instead of side to side.
Yeah, I mean your grill's a pretty like decent large size grill. I mean, it's not like a small size or anything. So I mean you can fit a lot of food in that grill.
So we did a lot of fishing while we are grilling, right? Friday night was a bust. We didn't catch crap. We got a lot of bites. I missed a gar. Had him cut my line. Nate ended up taking a line and just tying it to the end of my dock overnight with like a live bluegill on it, and caught like an 8 to 10 pound channel cat on it.
I think it was huge.
Yeah, it was a good sized catfish. And then Saturday night, Nate hooked up into that gar, which is like close to 3.5 foot long. And then we threw another line off the end of the dock with a live bluegill, and a gar took that. And I was trying to pull it in and stuff like that, and he popped the line. We lost more fish than we caught, but it was fun. It was fun catching the gar because I've been trying to catch a gar for like the last 3 weeks, and they've either pulled the hook, popped the line, or just got off. So they've been like kind of finicky to deal with.
And I feel like if you're trying to go for gar, you at least need to probably do like a steel line, like a steel leader. That way it doesn't.
Steel leader, and like nothing would hit it. I guess their eyesight's just good enough that they were avoiding it or something.
Yeah, I mean they can see that big, that small a thickness, or maybe it puts off something weird in the water that they don't like, or
We did end up figuring out that we could catch the bait fish. So we're catching like little 2.5 inch, 3 inch bluegills on the
Mhm.
riffraff next to my seawall. And I figured out I can catch the bait fish with just a bare hook. Like I don't even have to have anything in there. I just jig the bare hook up and down, and it hit it. I guess they saw something shiny and just went after it.
Huh? Because like I've been wanting to go not last week, the week beforehand. I was wanting to go to Walmart and buy live bait. I just never. I went to Walmart and I was like, I don't know if I was going to go fishing that day, so I don't want to buy live bait. But I think this weekend I want to go and just commit, just go buy live bait, and then try to get onto all the bluegills and just throw a weighted hook and see if I
So
can start catching them.
this weekend we're supposed to go down to Florida for Nate's bachelor party. So I'm hoping to knock a handful of fish off my bingo list.
Yeah, no, that is nice. I just forgot that you all going to go down to Florida for that because I wasn't thinking about all those the saltwater fish that we have on the list. I was like, so now it's going to be the real crunch. Now it's going to be all those fish that we thought we were never going to catch, or it would be like a real oddity if we did catch them. So now you're just going to snag them all.
I think I only really have 3 on the list that I need saltwater wise, which would be trout, redfish, and a shark. And if I catch a shark big enough, that'd be the longest fish. Because Nate right now has the smallest fish and the longest fish with the gar.
Yeah, I mean, if you catch a shark, it's pretty much a guaranteed longest fish.
Because his gar was 38.5 inches, I think.
That was a nice size gar too. And it was kind of a cool color how it was all black and then a little bit of color towards the tail, kind of on the bottom.
So they have like melanated gar in the lake I live on, and like
Mhm.
I've seen them solid black, like charcoal black, which is kind of cool.
That is really cool to see. He's like, I mean, I never saw gar like up in person or besides like being in Cabela's until he went down to Florida that one year. I mean, they're giant. They're just weird. You just don't expect to see them. And they kind of, at least for me, freak me out a little bit. But they're cool. They're really cool looking fish.
So we ended up keeping the gar and ended up flaying out like the back straps on it.
Yeah.
So Nate showed me this new method on TikTok. I think he sent us in the group where you take a hatchet or like a machete, and you start off the back fin on the tail, and you like chip upwards, and it starts breaking through their scales because they're like armored basically.
Yeah.
Once you get all the way to the head, you can just start peeling the scales back, and it just opens up perfectly. And then you just have the 2 loins running all the way down their back, and it's just like nothing but beautiful white meat.
Huh. Do you have to be careful with cooking them, kind of like alligator, where you have to make sure you got to take any fat off, or do they not really have fat?
They didn't really have fat. They have a little bit of bloodline on the edges that you need to cut out. If not, it'll be kind of like, like that muddy, gamey, bloody fish taste.
Yeah.
But it's like a weird meat. So like it's not like your typical fish. I know you don't like fish, but it's firm. So like it's almost like chicken or like alligator when you cook it. So Elizabeth likes it. So
I feel like I would like it. Things. I mean, I've had alligator before and liked it, but I think it was also fried, so you can't really go wrong with fried alligator. Right? Fried thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't like something, just fry it and you'll like it.
Nate fried up the catfish last night that he caught because he ended up catching 2 and filleting it. So he cooked the catfish at his in-laws' house.
I don't blame him. If you're going to catch an 8-pound, 9-pound catfish, I would keep that too.
It was a good bit of meat. I mean, it was enough to feed 2 people just off that one fish. So
makes sense. But so I think it's funny now. So my birthday's coming up. My mom was asking me for like what I want for my birthday. So I was like, just sent her like archery stuff and some other like random crap. And so she sent me the box. And so I just have a medium-sized box just sitting in my living room. She's like, you can't open it until. So I guess she's sending me a cake on Friday. And she's like, when you get the cake, you can open it. And I was like, I just want to open it now. I was like, I'm more annoyed that it's sitting here.
When's your birthday? Like next Tuesday, the 13th?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, because then
26, really an old man now.
I know. I had to get car insurance and all my insurance.
Now you're like really over the hump. Like you're closer to 30 than you are 20.
It's just straight to death now. There's nothing to look forward to besides the sweet release of death.
Well, I was making fun of Nate, so I got Nate that new bow for
Mhm.
his wedding gift, and got it all set up, and we had to adjust his. I'm looking at the bow right now, that's why I'm looking
Yeah.
sideways. Um, we got his draw length changed because he told me 29 inches, but I was watching him draw and like seeing how he shoots and anchors and all that, and I was giving him some pointers and stuff like that, just to critique his form a little bit.
Yeah.
So we changed him to 28-inch draw. At I think we did the draw scale, and it's at 67 pounds. And when I was first watching him, I took some slow mo videos. He was slapping the trigger.
Yeah.
I got him my little silverback like shot trainer, so it's like a tension release where you have to pull back to get it to fire.
Mhm.
And that joker was nonstop complaining the next day how I messed up his neck and back, where he was sore from shooting the bow. I'm like, Nate, you want to go shoot your bow? He's like, I can't. My neck hurts. I'm like, you're too young to be talking about being hurting and old, being the youngest in the group.
That's hilarious. Well, speaking of the Joker, he just joined in. Let's see. He's getting added whether he likes it or not.
Man, I'm talking about
What's up?
Can you hear us? I was telling Thomas how you're an
Yeah,
old
I
man.
can hear
And
you. I don't.
Wind
Yeah, no, dude, it's still a little sore. I mean, like, I don't know what you did.
I was getting you to shoot a bow properly. Is what I got you to do.
Yeah, then I don't know. I don't know what happened, dude.
using all the muscles you don't use.
I told him he has to get back in bow shape.
Yeah, I might be breaking out a little bit because I'm driving through like middle of nowhere. So if I do, just hang tight, I guess, or just start talking
Ignore
about something else. Yeah.
Well, that was really crazy. There's the guy who owns the archery shop with Elk Shape. He has a podcast where he's talking about some stuff, and he was saying how an inch of draw length gives you about 15 or so feet or 15 or so yards, but then like 10 or so pounds gives you about the same distance. So he's like, just having draw length is significantly better than just upping your poundage. Right. I was surprised by all that.
But it's nice for those long arm jokers like you and I. So we really get to take advantage of all the speed of bows.
I think my bow is set at 62 pounds and having a 30 and a half draw length, I think is what mine's set at. I'm at 287 feet per second. And I was pretty shocked when I was told that.
I think I'm roughly at 72 pounds because I have my cables twisted up a little bit on the RX-7.
Yeah.
So it's cooking, but I'm also shooting like super heavy arrows, so I'm sure it's like slow as crap.
I'll slow it down a lot. Because I was thinking about upping my poundage. And a nice thing with the arrows I bought, buying a 300 spine now, that I was looking at the chart, and even if I was to up my poundage 5 or 10 pounds, I should still be good on the spine. I was like, all right.
One thing you need to worry about with your spine, if you are planning on running a little bit heavier up front, that does change your dynamic spine a little bit. So if you put more weight up front, it's going to make it flex more when it comes off the bow.
Okay.
So if you do end up upping your poundage, if you start getting some weird paper tears, you might just want to drop the poundage back down, and that'll loosen up the dynamic spine a little bit.
Yeah. So I think I have like 60 to 65 pound mods. So I think I can crank it up to 3 pounds as is from home. I need to crank down the limb bolts all the way. Yeah. And then from there, I think I just got to buy different mods with the Matthews, it's nice that you can just buy different poundage mods, which I still don't understand how the science works there. That you can go up and down weight by just changing mods.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't know. I'd have to look up into it more. Speaking of mods, so like I took apart Elizabeth's old Bear Legit. So I got the cams and the limbs stripped off the bow. And I went to the bow shop yesterday. I was like, so I have like a stupid idea. And like the guy was looking at me and was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I have this old Bear Legit. And I was looking on Bear's website, and I saw that the Bear Whitetail Legend has the same riser, the same axle, and I want to say the same brace height. I'm like, does that mean I could take the cams off the Bear Whitetail Legend and put it on the Bear Legit? And he's like, I think you can, but you'd have to change the axle as well because the Bear Legit has yokes on the end of the cams. I was like, all right, we'll call Bear and see if I can get new axles and cams. He's like, I don't know if they'll let you do it because like they don't want to be liable if I blow up the bow on me or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, just tell them in a way where they don't know what I want to do. And they're like, all right, because like the reason I want to do it, the Bear Whitetail Legend is close to 340 feet per second, and the Bear Legit is like 315.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if I could like mutinize this bow, it'd be pretty legit. So
yeah, it's like just call them and ask them for the parts, don't explain to them what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm like,
no,
just buy them for me. It's like I just want to have them. If something goes wrong, then it's my fault.
I just want to tinker around a little bit.
So I'm gonna rattle can the riser and want to try to trick it out as much as I can at least.
That'll be cool. It's always interesting seeing people like rattle can their stuff. It either goes really well or they think their stuff looks really cool. Like I think one of the guys from Elk Shape, he like did this like really weird rattle.
Oh, the green and orange.
Yeah, it's something like real weird. I'm just like, I don't know why you do that. It's an odd look.
It's like I just want to mutinize the bow. Like I'm gonna put some like limb dampeners on there, and I'm gonna try to trick out. It's gonna be the nicest Bear Legit that the market has ever seen.
Just somehow figure out how you can get like Hoyter Matthews limbs on there. Just start putting random bits and pieces from different companies on it.
I'll just get some stencils and just like stencil over the things and just spray paint it and say Hoyt or something. It'll just be something stupid.
It'd be wild if you could somehow get it to work to where you have different limbs from different companies on all 4 limbs, and it's just like there's no way that would tune or do anything well.
So you're gonna make me get up and get the rifle. So I thought about putting different limbs on there, but the issue that you run into is the limb pocket. So where the limbs get accepted into the bow, they don't all fit the same.
Yeah, they're all different.
So that's like what you guys running into. It's like I can't mix that parts too much, or the bow just won't be put together at all. But it is weird just seeing a riser.
Like I think it's really cool, like when Matthews and stuff post videos and stuff, just like their risers. I would love to buy a Bear riser than just have it.
Nate, I'm gonna mute you for a second, real quick, bud. Oh, there he goes.
That works. I muted his mic.
Yeah, it was like really loud background noise. I couldn't hear you.
I can't hear. But like Matthews will post videos every so often on social media with like just their risers or their production line of making risers. I think it'd be really cool to get like a blank and then get a fully made riser.
Yeah. Well, Matthews and like nicer bows, they have like CNC risers, and like the Bears, they have like poured risers.
Oh, it's forged, or
they're like there's like a mold, and they just like pour it, so you can like see a seam and stuff where it's poured and stuff like that. I think that's one of the main reasons why like the nicer bow companies are more expensive, because like just the labor of using the CNC machine and cutting it all out of a solid blank of metal.
Yeah, and it's probably, I mean, it's more structural probably, and there's probably less airs in it. So it's just, I mean, it's just, in general, it's a more expensive product. And you're buying a better, better, well-built product.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. I mean, I love the Bear Legit. I've killed a handful of does with it, and like they're fun bow to shoot. It was crazy how much difference Nate's bow felt. So I shot it after he shot it. So like the draw curve at 29 inches versus 28 inches, night and day. Like I've never felt such a big difference. Like at 28 inches, it felt like butter back. But at 29 inches is kind of rough trying to get it back.
I mean, there's a video I was watching where they're testing out new bows for 23, and just every bow has different draw curves where you get over the hump and everything. And so it's interesting just to see how it's all what you kind of prefer. Because like I know like my bow, I feel like it's pretty hard to pull, and then once you kind of break that hump, the back wall is just dead and it just holds really well. Like other people think it's not. Like some videos I've seen, they're like, "Oh, it seems a little spongy." I'm like, "There's no way it's spongy." I was like, either I just haven't tried enough other bows to know kind of what that back wall feels like. I was like, I was like, there's a little bit of play. But I was like, it's not as bad as what I feel like some people talk about. But I don't know. It's one thing.
That's my biggest problem with Legit. So they have like it's a cable stop instead of a limb stop. So the reason I wanted to put the cams of the Whitetail Legend is it has a limb stop. So it would be a little bit stronger of a back wall because I don't like squishy back walls.
No, especially if because you use the you use a what, button release or a hinge?
Yeah, I've been using a hinge lately.
So I feel like having a hinge or at least like a button release, if you're going to try to pull through the shot and crap and have it break, it having a spongy back wall, you're going to pull a little bit more longer than you probably should. So maybe you get off target by the time you finally break.
Well, with a so like the Legit has like a pretty squishy back wall, and it's like amazing how much further you can like overdraw the bow,
Yeah,
because it's hitting the cables instead of the limb. So it's like it's not that big of a deal if you're using like an index style release, but like with a hinge, it's just like you have to be very careful to make sure you're maintaining the same bow pressure and everything when you're going to release. If not, you're underdrawing it because it has a pretty like deep valley, so you have a lot of play of back and forth. So that was like my only gripe with the bow.
Like the one thing I really want to tinker with now is because I use just a finger release, your traditional trigger release. And the one thing I really want to try with videos watching is to shrink it down as far as you can and really get to where you can fully wrap your knuckle around it. And that helps you kind of get a little bit more draw length through it. And then it was also just interesting. I was watching a video where a guy was saying use your middle finger because I guess by using your index finger can put some additional torque on it. I guess how it sits. So by using your middle finger, it keeps your hand sitting on top of it instead of trying to kind of have it at a weird angle. So I'm curious to see by shortening it and using my middle finger, see if it changes consistency or just see what it changes.
That's one of the things I was trying to get Nate to work on when I was watching him shoot his bow. I was trying to get him to hook around the trigger and pull through the shot. And he was getting pretty consistent with it towards the end of the shooting session. But, you shoot a handful of arrows and you start getting fatigued, and then all your shots start going to crap no matter how much you practice.
Yeah, especially when you're brand new trying to do it. I mean, you shoot 50 arrows and your shoulder's shot. And especially if you're pulling a heavier poundage and you're relatively more, you don't do it a whole lot. I mean, it wears on you real fast.
Yeah. But now since he has this bow, I think he's going to set up his old bow as a bow fishing reel. So
I think it's a solid idea. I mean, if you're going to have an extra one, might as well set it up to do something like that. I think it'd be fun to do, kind of tinker around with.
So you bought some arrows a week or two ago. How are they? Have you started building at all or no?
No. So all my insert and collar I had my mom give me for my birthday. So they're still sitting in my this box that's driving me nuts. And so I took them out and I've spun them. I think they're the V3 RIP TKOs. And so I spun them. I think there's one that is maybe a little bit wobbly towards the knock. So I need to go buy a knock remover to pop it out. And then spin them again and like mark them, because then I won't go to my archery shop right down the street from me and just have them cut it and all. Yeah. And so I'm thinking I'm just going to do it. I think I'm going to do 29 inches. So I think my current arrows are like 29 and a half or almost 30 inches. And I think they're a touch too long. I think I can cut them down a little bit closer. So I almost want to cut them at 29. I think it'll be good. I think I'll just be happy, but I'll probably take my bow and my old arrows and draw it and see what the shop says and see if they highly disagree with 29 inches or not. But
aren't you changing your draw length down a little bit?
I was thinking about it, but I know because I put the knock in my bow, because one thing I was listening to, they were saying that you want to knock your arrow and just kind of lightly pull back from your string and release it, and then your arrow shouldn't just stay on it shouldn't take a whole lot of pressure to take the arrow off, and it should kind of just easily pop off. That way it's not holding on, and so it's easy. It's a better shot that you'll get off of it each time. And so these ones don't stay on very well, or they don't stick on. They will drop off a little bit. They pop off easier than my current ones.
This is your answer.
Just buy my own serving.
You get a serving jig, and you get multiple different diameters of serving, and you reserve your bow depending on your nock fit.
Well, I'll say the Victory nocks in my string right now, they don't stick on like my current arrows. But the one thing I do need to do is I need to get a brand new D loop, because when it was tied on too tight, and these nocks don't fit inside my D loop like my Easton Axis do.
Learn how to tie your own D loop.
And so I just need to do it. I know it's not a hard thing to do, so I'll just probably cut it off myself and then go buy D loop string. And
I have a little arch kit next to me. Like, once you start tinkering with your bow, it becomes more intimate, and then it's more important to you.
It starts to become a little more addicting and more intimate. I get it. I mean, because I was going to have the archery shop cut my arrows, and then I was just going to buy D loop serving. I need to have D loop serving like with me on like when I go out hunting too, just to
at least D loop. I mean, you can get away without the serving being perfect, but like D loop is kind of like, if you're all like on a hunting trip or something, it's so easy just to throw a new one on and just be rocking and rolling again.
Yeah,
I would take some silver marker though, and like mark on your serving where your D loop is, and that way it's easier to put like a new D loop back on. That way you don't have to like reset your nock height and anything like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about figuring out how to do that. I guess I probably just take silver Sharpie and mark the inside of it where it's at right now.
Or just do like the outside.
Oh yeah.
So just put like a mark there, and that way you just have like a good close general idea where you're going to tie it at.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I know some of the videos I saw, they'll take a little bit of serving and tie it at the top and bottom of the nock when they get it all straight and level, and they'll put the D loop behind that.
Another like tip, if you don't want to tie like serving, you can get rubber bands. And you know how you can like just do a quick little rubber band loop, and that way they're easier to untie, and you don't have to cut them off like you would serving.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. I didn't think about that. But it's just more things to tinker with. But yeah, I know I need to now order the veins I want, because I was looking at some of the veins, and Iron Will sells these veins. It's like I think they're AAE veins. But I think they are basically Max Hunters, but I think they're a touch lighter than the Max Hunters. Somehow, I guess when they were doing it, they changed them up a little bit. But I want to order his, and then I need to order that Arizona Easy Fletch and mess around with that, because I like the helical that it gives. I want to try it because like the Cabela's right by me only has the right helical, and I want left helical.
So good luck trying to find them online. I was on Lancaster Archery the other day, and they're all sold out. And then I went to the actual website, and they were sold out. And I went to Amazon, and they didn't have it. And like this weekend, when I went to go ask about the cams and limbs and stuff, I saw it on the shelf. I'm like, you're going home with me.
No, I take you. I was surprised. I'm surprised that what you call it, Amazon didn't have them, or at least we're out of stock.
They didn't have the one I wanted. They had like the Mini Max. Now, I don't want the Mini Max because like some of the veins I like aren't as short as the Mini Max. Like,
let's see. And like Boning has theirs. It just looks real janky. I don't know. I've heard enough good things about the Arizona one. I'm saying, I'll buy that. But it looks like
this thing is like finicky though. Like,
really,
the veins just, I don't know, they slide up and down in the grooves, and like I fletched one arrow with it just to see how it was, and like I don't know, it just was kind of clunky compared to like the Bitzenberg, but it is fast because you just do all three at once.
I know everybody talks about just like buy two. I'm like, I don't want to buy two. I was like, I want to buy one.
They're like $60, so it's like, why would you buy two?
I was like, I don't build arrows like all that often that I'm like, I need multiple of these.
Like
And
if
it's
I
like,
can
I
make
like,
a few a day, then like I'm good to go.
it's like, I like my Bitzenberger, but I just don't, you can't get as big of a helical off of it. So I was like, well, I want a crazy helical.
Again. I got too many things to bring to show and tell.
So I gotta get that. I don't know. I gotta get vanes because I want to get vanes solely for the fact of if I do want to refletch ever, I don't shave off carbon, and it's easier to take them off.
It is like the most ridiculous helical I've ever seen before in my life.
And I would think that with you running 300 grains up front or 315 or whatever after inserts and everything, that it's going to be really beneficial having a crazy helical because it'll be able to get it on track faster and correct easier with that much weight.
See, I think it's on the contrary. I think I need less vanes because I'm so heavy up front. Because all that FOC up front, this is a 300 grain field point.
It's wild.
All the so I have 300 grain field point and 100 grain brass up front. So there's 400 grains up front. So like the balance point is kind of ridiculous. But since there's so much weight, it like pulls the arrow forward, so it doesn't have to be stabilized as much in the back because the arrow automatically wants to be pulled in the direction of the weight.
And I guess that makes sense. It'd be interesting to see if you did one with helical and one just through a Bitzenberger and see if you can notice a different like impact point.
Or I did do a 4-fletch the other day with some feathers with a slight left helical, and those fly really nice. But I don't like how loud the feathers are.
I guess that makes sense. With each individual little bit, the wind going through it will make it a lot louder and not worth it.
And if they get wet, they're kind of useless.
Yeah. I think it would be really interesting to go and make like an arrow with 6 vanes on it and just to see what would happen. I mean, I think it would be a little ridiculous, and also you'd lose so much FOC off of it.
I used to have 6 fletched arrows actually. Let me see if I have the vanes that I fletched them with over next to them.
Well, I know there was one picture I saw of an arrow that had 6 vanes, but they were staggered. So they had 3 in the back and then 3 in front of them, and they were offset.
So I did a 6 fletch with these super tiny like Q2i vanes. Yeah. So they're like only 2 inches long, and they're super low profile, but they're still like decently heavy when you do 6 fletch.
Yeah, I mean, that's so much weight in the back. I don't know. It's interesting. It'd be kind of cool just to buy cheap arrows and mess around with stupid stuff like that just to see what would happen. Because I mean, I don't think it would ever like you get there and be like, oh, this is game changer. Like this is the best option. Like, why isn't anybody doing this? It's like if somebody knew better, like they would be doing it.
Right.
I think that's kind of. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the hard thing in general now. It's like everybody who's anybody has figured out like all the little nuances, and now it's like I'm just going to do stupid things and wait until I see if they turn out well.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Are you using hot melt, or are you gonna do like?
I want to do hot melt because I have hot melt that I haven't used yet, so I need to go buy. I think we'll buy a propane torch, and just I feel like it's probably not that expensive to buy a propane torch, and just
I've used a lighter before.
And yeah, I just don't know. I guess I'm curious to see.
Lighter, you get a little bit of soot on the insert, but I've never had an issue with it pulling out or anything.
Yeah, I was thinking using a lighter is just going to take so long that I just don't.
You'd be surprised. Like it melts really quick. The only thing that you want to make sure when you're doing it is like you heat up your insert as well. So like I always like heat up the back of the insert as well as the hot melt.
Yeah, and kind of keeps it liquid longer, so it doesn't, I guess, dry up as fast. But have you ever tried to get parts out that you used hot melt on?
Yeah, it's easy.
Okay, because I was curious about that. See, I was curious if it would mess up the arrow or cause any issues. Trying to get
what I typically do is I get a coffee cup and fill it up with water and throw it in the microwave until the water's almost boiling, if not boiling.
Yeah.
And you just dip the end of your arrow in the water for a few seconds, and then you can pull out your field point and insert all at once.
Oh, that's really easy.
And then you just go back into the air with your wire brush or something and clean out the extra glue mess, and then you're rocking and rolling again.
Okay, cool. Because I was thinking you'd have to take a torch to it and heat it up. And I was like, I don't know if I want to take a torch like around carbon like that. I was like, that scares me a little bit to do that.
No, you just gotta make sure you don't heat up the end of the arrow where it like degrades the carbon or anything like that.
Yeah, that was my fear. But if you can just put it in water, then it's like, okay, that's a no-brainer. That makes it super easy.
I don't know why people don't use hot melt more often. Like I know, so I'm planning on using a hit insert, and I'm gonna have to use like the 2-part epoxy for that.
Yeah,
but hot melt is just like unlimited tunability. Like you can just rip some out, put some new ones in. It's just like rocking and rolling.
Yeah, you can just keep moving them a little bit, and you just warm it up. I don't know why. I mean, it's just so easy to take the expensive, important parts out and just make small adjustments here and there. I wonder if
part about hot melt. So like if you have your broadhead and like you want your broadhead to be oriented like towards your cog vane, you can take your hot melt, put your broadhead in there, and then you can spin your insert to where it's oriented with your cock feather or cock vane. And that way everything's oriented the same way. And you should get pretty consistent arrow flight, arrow to arrow.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. I guess, would you put hot melt on the threads and then thread it in? No.
So like your insert has threads in it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't tell where your broadhead will end up inside the threads.
Oh, so you're saying go ahead and just put it all together, put the hot melt on, and then stick it all in as one piece.
Yep. And gotcha. That way you can move the whole insert and broadhead to be perfectly in line, arrow to arrow.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, because I need to figure out what, because I think I want to buy single bevel broadheads this year and mess around with those. And so I'm trying to figure out if I want iron will, and I really wanted those tough, the tough broadheads, but they only come with the right helical. And if I want to get my vanes to the left, I don't know what the cut, how much of a difference cutting wise it would be if I was to use a right bevel.
I shot 2 does with a right bevel, but I was also doing right helical vanes.
Yeah, so as soon as it kind of pops off, it would recorrect back to the right. So yeah, I know there's one you sent me. I was going to look at that, and I know Iron Will makes left and right vanes. I just really like the tough ones, the tough broadheads, because you can change out those bleeder vanes and just basically throw them away every time, and just resharpen the broadhead. I like how they're easily interchangeable.
My only fear, which I haven't done any testing yet, is with the left helical. I'm worried it's going to unscrew the broadheads going into animals or targets. And like I know some people will take Teflon tape and put Teflon tape like the end of the threads of your broadheads, and that should help it from unscrewing. Or like I guess you could do like tiny amount of Loctite blue just to keep them from backing out.
Yeah, I mean, like Loctite wouldn't be a terrible idea if you're already going to, if you're going to go all the way and tune your broadhead to your arrow and line them up with your vanes. Then at that point you're not planning on moving it, so might as well put Loctite in there.
Yep.
Put a dash in there. But then
this past season I used bow wax. So I give string wax. I'd put that on my threads, and that helped. When you're shooting, your field points sometimes come loose.
Yeah,
I was using the string wax to get a better grip to the threads, and that seemed to help a lot from having them unscrew.
Yeah, I wonder like that, like Vaseline, anything like tacky like that.
No,
would be easy. Yeah, because I didn't think about using wax as that. I mean, that's a good idea. But I don't know. I'm really interested and excited to go and build these arrows. I'm just ready because I know I had my mom give me the 150 grain field point, and so I'm fully committed to 150 grains up front. And So now I just gotta find the right company that I want to buy them from. I have a feeling I'm going to end up buying Iron Will broadheads.
Look at the Razor broadheads when you get a chance.
Yeah, that's what you sent me. I was looking at them at the gym the other day. I think when I looked at them, they were out of the left helical on the 150. That's not what I want.
So I want to say their ferrule on the 150 is made out of titanium, which is kind of nice because I think Iron Wills just use steel.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's nice they're $95, and Iron Will is like, what does I have it up? I think Iron Will is 120. So you save a little bit of money there.
You know, and the like, tough heads are like just as expensive as Iron Wills, if not a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But you get added benefits of the bleeders with the tough heads.
Yeah, I like those bleeders so much, but I just wish they'd make left helical. And it's just the one thing that just bothers me, even though it's not really that big of a bother. And yeah, they're titanium ferrule. I don't know. I think they're cool. I mean, I think I've always liked like regular broadheads, but I do really like these single bevel. I wonder, you could probably change. I think you can change out the Iron Will bleeder vanes.
You can. I think, I mean, even with Iron Will, you can change out the regular blades too.
Oh, yeah, you can. And it's not terrible. I mean,
no, the replacement blades are 10 times cheaper than buying like the actual broadhead.
Yeah, I mean, it's $50 and you get a 3-pack. So it's really not, yeah.
I got my one sticks all set up today while I was had some free time, so I got them all like stealth stripped out, so they're nice and camo.
That is cool. I'm needing to just go ahead and buy. I really want to go ahead and buy just my saddle platform, but I'm just like, I don't know. I can't really use it. I don't know if I can really use them in Kansas. So I was like, well, there's one property I went to that I think I could use a saddle for. I think I have to hike. I think it's at least from where I parked last year for Turkey. I think I have to hike 2 miles to get there, but I think there's a closer closer road to the area. Mm-hmm. And it also doesn't stops me from having to hop a fence, which is totally legal because it's still 2 public pieces that I can get to. I gotta figure that out. Then coming back for Georgia for Christmas, and then if we do a hunt earlier in the season, then I'll just use that. And I was thinking about if I should go and buy new sticks or just suck it up and use the ones I have. Some of the ones I have are fine; they're just heavy.
They are pretty heavy. They're kind of long too.
Yeah, I like the long ones. I can carry three sticks in and get pretty high, get as high as I want.
That's why I like the 8ers that I made.
Yeah, I think if I was to go and buy new sticks, I think I would just buy the Tether 1 sticks and do that. I mean, they're insanely light and not.
They're 3 pounds, like 3 sticks, 3 pounds, and you add an 8er. I mean, you don't get much lighter than.
No.
It is kind of tingy though. I was hoping that the stealth strips would like reduce some of the noise, and it did a little bit, but they're still kind of loud.
And you could go and try to find like open cell foam and spray it in there. That way it's not as heavy as closed cell. But I know when I was looking for,
I'd have to drill it, and that's the only thing I don't want to do. Is because like you can't get into the end cap of the tethered, so I'd have to drill it, and I don't feel too comfortable doing that because that just leads to water getting in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could drill it, fill it, and then put like a little bit of epoxy on it.
No,
that could seal it up. But
for my platform, so like I have a trophy line platform, and I stealth stripped it last year, and that worked great. Like it was super quiet, but after like standing on it for 3 or 4 sits, the stealth strip started like peeling off just from like moving the boots around and stuff like that. So I'm thinking this year I'm gonna get some of that Flex Seal, like rubber spray. I'm gonna rubber spray the platform that you stand on to help like reduce some noise and give you some like extra texture to stand on.
That'd be really interesting to see how that turns out and see how well it sticks to the metal. I mean, I don't think it'd be a problem sticking to the metal,
If anything, I could take some like sandpaper and just lightly scuff it to give it something to adhere to.
Yeah. I'd be curious about the longevity of it, but also, I mean, it's so cheap. It's not a pain in the butt to go and just respray it every
Right.
so often when it starts to wear out. But I'd be curious to see just in general what the longevity is of it.
Like even if it can reduce the noise just a little bit, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I mean, little changes like that is all you really need and can ask for. I mean, if it cuts the noise in half or a quarter, be content with it.
Deer hunting's all just an odds game, right? So like if you increase your odds by like 2 or 3%, you're doing better than the next guy.
Oh yeah. That's the one thing that at least like nice in Kansas, like I can just use I use a rifle and kind of sit back, and it's pretty far open, 200, 300 yards, and kind of just make an easy shot. And you can kind of get away with having to not be so tactical with it. But that's the fun part too about going and like only trying to use your bow and everything. While you're not guaranteed anything, it's a way harder harvest to get. It's way harder to get the deer and everything. I feel like it just means more to be able to pull that off. And it's nice too because you get to you're forced to be a little bit selective because you can't just take the easy shots. Even if they're 80 yards, it's like, oh, I can probably hit that, but it's like, oh, I can get them at 40. So now it's like, well, what can I do to either get them closer, or do I need to move a little bit, or will they eventually come to me a little bit later in the season if I wait a couple more weeks? And so you start to, I think, just think more about where you set up, how you set up, and then you just care a little bit more.
I think just being a bow hunter in general makes you a better hunter altogether, because you have to think more intently of like your setup and how you're planning things. Because like you said, you don't get the shot opportunities as you do rifle season.
Yeah, and you get to sit there and see them all. You get to see all the kind of takes. You get more survey of the land, and it's like if you were to see a small 6-point or something that you would just normally take, and if it's just too far out of range, it's like, all right, well now you start taking inventory of the area, and maybe the next couple of trips you see a little bit bigger deer. You start seeing different bucks and different deer. And so you kind of get a better understanding of what's out there instead of just like, all right, well, I took the 6-point and now I'm done for the season and I don't care because I have my buck and I'm happy. And so now you just kind of start taking that inventory.
Nate had some nice trail cam pictures today of some deer in velvet.
I was a little bit surprised that one was already. I mean, it looked like it was a nice 6-point on the one.
They'll probably branch out to a nice little 8-point. One of them was better than the other.
Yeah, I didn't really look at that second picture yet, but yeah, it looks like the one that's farther. Maybe the one that's farther away was the first one.
No, so if you look at the second picture on like the upper right-hand side, you can see that there's 2 deer there. So the furthest away deer is the one in the first picture. And then there's a wider, kind of looks like an 8-point that's closer to the camera. And that one looks better.
I think that the closer one, that wider one's going to be a more symmetrical looking buck, at least just from the eye guards. And it looks
like young deer. They look like 2.5, maybe 3 years old.
Yeah, I think they look young. I mean, they don't look that big. I mean, even looking at that first picture of the back, nothing's really sagging. So it looks like a good 2-year.
The problem is like when you get trail cam pictures this early in the season, it's so deceiving because you get your hopes up and then they disappear to like their fall, like habitat / rutting areas closer to deer season. So it's like, yeah, it's nice. You get pictures of them in their summer home range, and then here comes fall and they just.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like I think we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about trail cams and how some states are banning them or you can only use them in season or stuff like that. And it's just like, well, if you use them out of season, you're not going to see that. Like the odds of you seeing that same animal 4 or 5 months later, it's like good luck. Like, you're not. It's going to go to either a different elevation depending on what state you're in, or it's going to go to a different area clear across the state. And it's just like, all right, well, it was cool having the picture and knowing it and kind of building the relationship with that deer, but it's gone.
So last year at one of my hunting spots, I ran a camera probably 3/4 of the year. So I ran it all of hunting season of 21, 90% of the summer of 22, all hunting season of 22, and I pulled it right after hunting season. So in the summer, I had like 8 or 10 bucks. I would hit the food plot that I planted like frequently, but I knew there was a big 8-pointer back there. I called the wide 8, and he wasn't there all summer. But sure enough, it come fall, and then he moved into the area, and all those bachelor bucks disappeared, and I only had like 3 or 4 bucks. So it was like, it's funny how like they have territories that they float between depending on the season. Like, oh, this is where this buck ruts at every year, or oh, this is their summertime hangout.
It's wild that they are very territorial like that, where they have their spots that they'll go to each year, and that's kind of what makes it exciting to have like your own piece of property, or you find a piece of public that isn't isn't heavily pushed or hunted. So you can kind of get back deep and you can kind of figure that area out. And you kind of see those same deer every year.
Yeah. I found, so last year during rut, I was on a piece of public, and there's this one big 9-pointer, real tall rack, that was bedded off the side of the road, like 15 or 20 yards off the side of the road with a doe. 2 times I walked up on him with a doe on the same spot. And I could never get close enough to get a shot, because like as soon as I'd walk on a certain part of the road, like the access trail, he would get up and slowly start walking off into the woods. And I saw him there like 2 or 3 different times. So I'm hoping now, since I know like the area he ruts in and like the rough area or like time of year that he ruts, that I can go in there and like set up on him this upcoming season.
Try to get there early season, right before he gets right. You try to catch him right when he gets in there, but isn't super accustomed to what's coming in and out and what the traffic is there. Try to catch him early season.
Well, it's nice because the access trail is like all like soft dirt. I mean, you've been there, so you can like see footprints pretty well. And like 90% of the time, I'm the only footprints that are ever making it that far back. So it's kind of nice. I can see like who's coming in the area or who's not.
Yeah, you know the pressure, and so it's like, all right, well, it's just going to be me, so I can kind of get it.
I'm the pressure. I'm the one scaring the deer.
I'm the problem.
I tried to set up on him one night, and I spooked him walking in there, and I set up close to the trail that he walked out on. I started grunting and rattling, and here comes this little basket 6-pointer, like walking on the same trail I walked into my tree. I'm like, do you not smell me? I'm like, get out of here. I don't want you here. Well, it's a quality buck zone, so like I couldn't shoot him anyways.
Oh yeah, it has to be 4 on one side or 15-inch spread.
Yeah. And I'm not going to shoot a deer based off as a 15-inch spread or not, because there's no way I'm going to properly like
the risk of guessing that and being wrong by an inch. It's like, come on, it's 14 inches. It's like, no, the rules are the rules. And it's like, all right, I'm just going to go for unless it's like insane, or it's like, okay, there's no way you can't not know that's 15 inches, but like the odds of you knowing that and being able to pick that up, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to wait until I see 4 points and make it an easy call.
So I figured out what arrow setup I'm going to run for this upcoming season. I'm going to run the Sirius Supernova SDs. So it's also a 204 diameter arrow. I'm going to run the Iron Will 15 grain titanium hit insert with the 10 grain titanium sleeve. And then I keep flipping back and forth to what broadhead I want to shoot. I think I might just buy like 2 or 3 different brands and have 2 or 3 different arrow setups, just because why not?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to go super heavy on one. It's going to be close to 700 grains, and then I might make like a lighter arrow as well.
I mean, it's not a bad idea having multiple. I was very surprised when you were like, yeah, the Sirius arrows are 137 for 6. I was like, damn, should have bought those. I could have gotten 12. So I only bought 6 of the RIP TKOs, and I mean, it's like $100. I was like, man, I screwed up.
What kills me, I was looking at the RIP TKOs, and you can get the Elite, the Gamer, or the Sport.
Yeah.
So the Elite is like the 1000 straightness, and they're like stupid expensive. But the Sirius Supernova SDs only come in like 1500 straightness. So basically 1,000 straightness, and they're like half the price. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. They're a little bit heavier, like GPI wise, which like I'm not like a huge fan of, but like I'm building a heavy arrow anyway, so like it don't really matter.
Yeah, and so what's a couple grains here and there? It's not that crazy.
It affects the FOC, but like I'm way over 15% anyway, so.
Yeah, so it's not like having the extra grains is going to be a crazy deal. I don't know. I do think it's funny how serious websites, like you can scroll and you can get 300 arrows if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, if you do 300 arrows of the Vulcan, it's almost $5,000, $4,700.
Holy crap.
What would be
no,
like
take off the inserts. Say you don't want any inserts, and it'll drop the price like ridiculously.
Oh, that's what I did. So let's look at. I want to look at the Gemini. Let's do Gemini no inserts. Let's do 29 inches. Yeah, 5,100. That's insane.
I mean, if you're like an archery shop or something like that, you want to buy in bulk. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it makes sense. But just like your casual everyday guys, like, oh, I'm just going to go attack this year. Let me buy 100 arrows. It's like
you wouldn't catch me dead shooting serious arrows attack.
Let me buy 102 arrows. Spend $1,700 just on bear shaft arrows. Have each one of my arrows cost an insane amount of money.
If I'm spending $1,700 on arrows, like they better have like GPS guided tracking to the animals I shoot.
I better not lose or break one. I better have some type of rehealing to be able to put them back together. I mean, that's insane. I mean, they're nice arrows.
Those are expensive, but the most expensive arrow company I think that there is called Bishop Archery. And they have something called like the Fad Eliminator. And like, I want to say 6 or 12 arrows is like $1,000.
Jeez. All right, I found their website.
It's a super clunky, like awfully designed website, but like their arrows are ridiculously expensive.
You can get 3 Cryo DG FOC King, $1,900.
Yup.
That's insane. I just want to talk to somebody. It would be very interesting to talk to them just to see how much product they move.
Their arrows, from what I've seen testing online, are like damn near indestructible though. So they use like a super thick walled carbon, and then like I want to say the whole length of their arrow has like a steel core, like a solid steel core, so it's not wrapped. So like I think the average arrow weight is like close to 1,000 grains.
Yeah, it's 64.2 GPI in the first 4 inches, 15.6 in the next 31, and 6.2 in the last half inch. So that's insane.
64 GPI. That's ridiculously thick carbon.
Let's see, uncut 35.5 inch long total arrow shaft weight with knock collar and 110 grain insert install is approximately 745 grains. And that's before you put
a broadhead or
your broadhead or any your fletchings or anything on. That's wild. I'd be curious to know what their cost is to make these arrows. I mean, clearly it's not cheap, but I'm curious.
I want to know where they're getting their carbon. Because, like, you know, they have to be getting it overseas somewhere. And, like, I'm sure you could find it, like, aftermarket stupid cheap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you go to Alibaba, you can find...
So, Alibaba, there's this other archery brand called, like, Deer Crossing or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, if you go on Alibaba's website, they sell the same Deer Crossing arrows with the brand on it, but they're, like, 1/10 the price of what Deer Crossing is selling them for.
That's insane. I know, like, they'll do it with Sitka, too. You can find Sitka gear. And some of them you can buy, like, one-off products, but some they force you to buy, like, a 50 or 100 pack of it. I was like, I would like to buy it just to go and, like, go to Dick's or go to some sporting goods store, buy that same version of the Sitka clothing and just test it and see if it's like the same quality and the same everything, just without their logo on it. So it's like, I'm not buying 50 quantities just to see if I can test one.
Ask them if you can get a sample for quality control.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. But it'd be interesting to get it and then just be like, try to sell on Facebook Marketplace and be like, this is the exact same, just doesn't have the logo on it. And just see.
The problem with Alibaba is since it's over in China, it takes like 2 to 3 months to get here because it has to go through customs and all that crap.
It just takes forever. Yeah, downside. If you're going to make money off of it, you probably make decent money off of it because it's probably not that expensive to buy high quantities of it. And then it's like, oh, I'm just selling knockoff versions and say it's basically the exact same product just without their logo. So instead you paying $150, give me 50, and I'm good. I've already made my money back. Just sell one of them, and you're good. I don't know. I'm excited to start tinkering with these arrows I got, and just gotta finally finish ordering everything in, and I'll be good. Because I gotta figure out what vein or what wrap I want to use. There were some I was looking at Cabela's, and they were. I think I just want to get a white vein or a white wrap, and it's like Lancaster sold out of like all their white wraps. I'm like, makes sense. It's the number one you want.
Look up States Wraps. That's a really cool company, and like you can make custom wraps with anything you want on it, and they have like a lot of like other generics and stuff like that.
I think you might have told me about this. I was trying to figure them out. Yeah, these ones are pretty cool. It's cool that they have like the reflective ones.
So we could technically like make the Land Unknown wraps and like send them the logo, and they can make wraps for us.
It wouldn't be that expensive, I don't think.
Because they're just vinyl wraps. So like technically if we had like the correct printer, we could make them ourselves.
They have hex wraps too. Well, there was one guy that was on Elk Shape that I thought was really interesting. What he does, what I heard is that he will go, instead of putting the whole wrap on his arrow, he just cuts it into like little slivers, and then so it's kind of like it's like custom wrap to where instead of just being one solid color, it's like he has like 4 or 5 little like just wraps all the way down it. So it's going from like whatever color he has, like yellow and then black and yellow, black, and just alternates. And so he's like, it's nice because you get some of the benefits of having the wrap on it and having some additional weight to kind of tune in to the exact FOC you want if having a wrap or not having a wrap highly changes that percentage. And so he's like, then he's like, my arrows just look different than everybody. So like when I go attack or go to shootings and stuff, you don't have to sit there and get all confused and look at the arrows and really nitpick on whose is whose. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea.
I cut my wraps because I like my wraps being just long enough to fit the arrows on there because I like to save weight in the back. But like, can you imagine how painstakingly tedious it would be to like wrap like 5 or 6 different sections on there?
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, I would just get annoyed with doing it. And just like,
my OCD would kick in like 1,000%. If it wasn't like perfectly straight, I'd be like, that's wrong. Got to start over.
Start all over again. Like there was one video I was watching. This guy, I think it was like Chris B, and he started making his own wraps. And he's like, yeah, we put 13 in there because he's like, I screw up one, so I know y'all are going to screw up one too. Well, I was like, it's thoughtful. I was like, it makes sense.
It's so funny that there's like things pretty, and you see like people matching like their bow colors and their string colors and their veins and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to look cool.
It's like we're all going to say that we don't want to be like nitpicky and want to color match everything or do all this stuff, but it's like, no, I want to have it all look really clean. It's like, I like the aesthetics, even if it's just for me. I like the aesthetics.
Right. Like no one will see it,
but it matters to me. It makes me know. It makes me feel good inside.
The deer really care about how cool your setup looks.
They're going to care. When I walk up to it, I want to make sure it knows.
When I walk into that deer, it better know that I'm bougie and Sitka deer.
There's some Sitka stuff I do want, but I'm just like, it's just so expensive. I can't justify it.
I'm really starting the ASIO or ACO or however you pronounce it. That's really growing on me.
There's one company I was looking at. I think it's called Numa, and they have some pants I really like. They were a little bit more expensive than I wanted to spend money on that I could justify at the time while I was looking at them. So I never bought them, but the pants were pretty cool. Like the camos, it's a little bit odd at first, but it started to grow on me a little bit. And so I don't know. I think when I do move back to Georgia, I think I might look at buying some lighter camo, like lighter weight hunting pants and stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot of heavy gear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just used to hunting up in Wisconsin and we would go during Thanksgiving. So like the 1 week you would have, because like Wisconsin gun season is just during like Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving. So you don't get a whole lot of time to hunt. And so it's like we always just go then. And it would be 13 degrees out, like in the teens. I was like, this is awful. Like, this isn't fun anymore. We go out for like, we get there, set up, first light would be like 7 or something. And then like 9 o'clock, my dad's like, all right, I'm walking back to get you. I was like, we're going back. He's like, I'm freezing. I can't do this anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. I was like, I'm not eager to sit here any longer.
See, I'm like, I don't mind the cold in Georgia. With the thing that like irritates me is like early season bow hunting when it's like 90 degrees out, the humidity is 80%, and the mosquitoes and like no-see-ums are like swarming you. So you're constantly like trying to sit still, but also like slowly swat all the bugs that are off of you.
It's like starts making it worth it just to go and buy this mosquito netting face mask.
I started carrying a thermocell to the stand with me.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, if you're going to be swarmed and they work relatively well, if you can at least cut them in half or get it down a decent percentage, it's worth it.
Because like the no-see-ums are like relentless, and if like you have like 1 square inch of like skin exposed, you're gonna be lit up.
They're coming regardless, and that's the one thing I don't miss is the bugs and all, especially trying to sit in the woods, deal with all the flies and mosquitoes. But
we've been on here an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, we've gone for pretty well, but well, I guess we just go ahead and call it for this week. Go ahead and
next week, it's your birthday. I mean, I'm sure your mom doesn't watch this. It wouldn't kill you if you opened up that box.
No, because I know Friday I'm supposed to get the cake she's sending me. And so she's like, oh, you can open it up on Friday. And I was like, well, I might now open it up on Monday. So might have an exciting thing to look at. And it's not all archery gear. I think some of there's some other like random stuff I want for my birthday. But the box is bigger than the stuff I asked for, I think. So I'm sure there's random crap in there. Like, there's no way I got away with just getting like the 3 or 4 things I asked for, because that's too big of a box for it. So
just some extra goodies.
And maybe I'll open it to send her pictures, because I'm sure she's going to hound me texting. So maybe I'll open it, take pictures of it, and then we'll seal it back up. I don't know. We'll have to think about it.
Decisions.
All the decisions makes it too difficult. But, well, I think go ahead, call it. And
it's been good catching up. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while since I've been out and about.
I know. Well, it's wild that you take the week off. You're used to every week talking. You take a week off, and it's just like, man, I haven't talked to you in forever. I mean, it's always good to catch up, and especially on this. But perfect.
Next week we'll have an update on how fishing went over the weekend.
Yeah, try to get back on the board, get some more on there instead of just my good 5.
Yeah.
But, hey, I will say it's more than I thought I was going to get at this point. I'm very shocked where I'm at.
Your 5 is all from one day.
Yeah.
So if you go out there another day, like, you'd really be killing it.
Yeah, another 5 in one go, and just finish up So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 more to finish my row, but one of them's a flat. One of them's a flounder, so I don't know how I can't really catch a flounder in Kansas. So
Yeah, but you just catch a bass over 20 inches and you get a free space.
yeah, so I get my 19. I think it's 19-inch bass or 20-inch bass, and then yeah, that gets me there. So it's doable. It's nice that it's only one, because rainbow trout, free fish, white bass, flounder, and flathead. So all doable. The flounder's not, but I can get bass, and I'll be up there. But well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and so we'll catch y'all next week. Go ahead and follow us on our socials. They'll be linked down below in the YouTube. Go ahead and add those in probably, and then linked on the Apple Podcast has all of our socials, the Land Unknown, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So
yeah, leave comments on videos or Instagram, anything y'all want us to talk about. We haven't been posting too much on Instagram and TikTok lately. We've all had some hectic, crazy, busy lives lately, but we plan on getting back to that here shortly.
Yeah, gotta get out and about, get more pictures and stuff to post, and then just gotta get that time. But we'll be back slowly but surely. But sweet. Well, thank y'all, and catch y'all next time.